Oh, I have some media updates for you. Well, okay.
Oh,
First, we are recording this at the start of November. I do not remember when this is going to be released, but Halloween season is will be long over by the time this is released.
yeah, and tomorrow's the big mayoral election.
Yep, yep. Not thinking about that too hard. For an update for a couple of episodes back when well, it was the episode that we most recently released, which was before October, and I was talking about how I was like, I'm going to be manifesting that I am successfully completing the Scarecrow Psychotronic Challenge. I can now say, uh, I did successfully watch a movie every single day of October, completing the prompts put forth by Scarecrow, and I ended up watching a bunch of classics that had been on my list for a long time that I finally was able to check off my watch list. So that is super exciting.
Which were like your favorites?
Oh, The Devils. Um,
I still haven't watched it.
I
I
am good.
still haven't gotten around to it, even though I have the tab open.
Oh, what else did I watch? Oh, Raw. I finally watched Raw. Very
I still haven't
good.
seen that one. I've seen
I
clips,
liked Raw
but
more than Teton. Um, but I think that's because I think they're both very good films. Raw just appeals more to me because it is a coming of age and also a like, it's the cannibalism movie. Um, and I actually watched multiple cannibalism movies. I watched Trouble Every Day as well. Um, so watch multiple of those freaky French female filmmakers. And I watched Ravenous, which was good. A classic, two classics I checked off my list. I finally watched Alien and I watched The Thing. Uh, John Carpenter's The Thing.
yeah. It's wild
Um,
that you still hadn't watched Alien,
I
which
know,
feels up your alley
but I'm a Blade
to
Runner
me.
girly. That's like the
Yeah.
Ridley Scott film to me that is like so dear to me is Blade Runner, but Alien's good. It was way it must be in the other movies that there's more you see more of the alien because it
Yeah.
is like I
Because the
think
second one is more of an action movie, and the third one is like has a really cool vibe to it.
yeah
And then the fourth one is action again. Those are the ones I've seen.
yeah, I was surprised that I mean, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I don't think I fully understood how much the first Alien is really like a cat and mouse. Like, you really don't see much of. I mean, I guess it's like a slasher in space. But also, I didn't realize how like anti-corporation it is. So yeah, I want to get into to watch more of the Alien franchise. Um, Oh, and I also watched Nightmare on Elm Street. I literally like so many classic horror movies that I still hadn't seen. I was able to check off my list. So, um,
There's been
but
like so many videos and articles recently about the second Nightmare on Elm Street, which is the I've watched those first two of the series. But I think it's interesting that like all of a sudden everyone's talking about Freddy's Revenge. And like for good reason though.
is that one that has a gay character?
Yeah. At least like really very clear coding to
Mm-hmm.
it. And I'm pretty sure Robert Englund said recently that like if you don't see it that way, you're stupid or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, and I also um watched all of the Scream movies. So I've seen the first Scream. I love it. It's one of my favorite, not just favorite horror movies, just favorite movies. I love Scream, but I'd never seen the rest of the franchise. So I did a full-on
Yeah,
marathon.
same. I feel like I'd really like fourth.
Four is good. I think so. I didn't know anything about
That's
four
the one
going
that like
in.
feels most my vibe.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know a lot about four, which is why I feel like that was my one.
yeah. Four was I think the only no, four and six were the only ones which I didn't know who the ghost faces were. So those actually made I think those more satisfying to me. Three is the worst one, which I think everyone is kind of the common held opinion.
Worst one so far.
Oh God, that's right. I can't we can't get it. I am gonna be I Scream 7 is gonna be like the re okay. I know so many other people have already said this, but now that I've actually like watched all of them, I can definitively say the reason the new Screams were so good were because of Melissa Barrera and the directors, and that's what all of that's going to
And
be
Jenna's
missing.
also not gonna be in
Oh
it.
yeah, and Jenna, that's right.
Anyways,
Anyways, did you watch anything for Halloween for October?
my dad and I watched Beetlejuice, which was
Oh,
cute.
fun. I
There
haven't.
definitely are too many subplots,
Mm,
a billion subplots, but stylistically, it's classic Burton,
nice.
which return.
Yeah, I haven't seen either Beetlejuice.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really like a Tim Burton like I don't know. I feel like I haven't really even seen that many of his stuff, either the good or the bad.
can you tell I was like a Tim Burton child?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyways, we're just now talking about a bunch of other movies.
Well, we do little media updates.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me, I do have kind of a media update. I've been like the first two episodes of the Jenna World podcast have come out, and they're really good and really wild so far. It was by Molly Lambert, who also did the Heidi World podcast, which I love.
Yeah,
It's like I'm getting new stuff that's kind of like that, but also a completely new story, which is fun.
that's like I feel like at some point I'm gonna have to listen to Heidi World and be like, okay, let me see, let me get a little peek into another uh, genre style major influence of Fabiola's brain. Um, and hey, speaking of genre style, something that super fits your aesthetic and taste. What are we talking about today, Fabiola?
Talking about Wild Things from 1998 and one of my favorite movies.
This isn't your top letterbox top four, but
It's not in my top four, but it's within my top 15.
okay, how what's your journey with this movie? And why are you bringing it to this show? I mean, I know why, but for our listeners, what's a little taste of what are you thinking about?
Yeah, so I kind of got more formally introduced to it by friend of the pod, Erica, who
Mm,
also loves it. And so I watched it and I loved it. And then eventually said we should cover it on the pod.
yeah. Um, I first watched it last year on a plane, and I don't think that was the best.
It's a wild plane movie, but I've also watched wild plane movies. I watched The Piano Teacher on a plane.
Oh, that is a wild play. See, here's the thing. Is sometimes there's a movie you've really been wanting to watch and you just haven't had the time to sit down and watch it. And if you're on a plane, you're like stuck needing something to do, so you're gonna watch a movie, right? Like, but yeah, I could also, if you think about it, you're like, oh wait, people are gonna look over and see what I'm watching. But you watched it for the second time for this podcast recording. I watched it for the third time because earlier this year I was gonna have a little movie night with friends, one of my crazy double features, and then I don't know, people were running late, and then it was kind of like it didn't seem there was as much interest in the two films that I had picked out for this double feature. So I was like, let's put on something else. So I put on Wild Things, and my friends, I think they didn't dislike it, but I definitely liked it the most. I think this is a film that actually works better on rewatch,
Yeah,
which I didn't think it was going to be. The first time I watched this, I was like, I don't think this is going to hold up on rewatch
it holds
because,
up like crazy.
yeah. So if you don't know anything about this movie, um, we're going to be spoiling the hell out of this because this movie has like a billion plot twists. It's not that many, but still, like every time you think you know what's going on, you get more information. And it's always like kind of a reveal. And
Everything after the first half is a plot twist.
yeah. First watch is kind of like, wait, what is going on? Does all of this add up? It does.
And like
Um,
this setup in our current year 2025 is a bit questionable.
yeah. I think that was the thing one of my friends was definitely like the most, I think, uncomfortable was just like the whole I mean, this is a movie about a guidance counselor. He's not a teacher, but he's still like a supposed to be a trusted adult having a relationship with his students. And I mean, this is an erotic thriller. This is like a neo-noir erotic thriller. And um I know you've brought some research and articles about how this film plays with the genre, and I think the plot twists and all of this, like it look, this is like it's this is a sleazy movie.
It's peak erotic thriller, arguably the culmination of the genre.
Yeah, so it's it's gonna be kind of uncomfortable, but I think that's also kind of the point of this genre is it's like erotic thrillers are about pushing the limits of what is what kind of sex is socially acceptable, and it's genre about people, you know, using desire and sexuality to get what they want, which is, I think, inherently transgressive and taboo.
Yeah, and I feel like especially in this era of the genre, because one of my like sources slash articles is one on Bloody Disgusting, and it also touches a bit on the history of the genre,
Yes,
and it
please
brings
share.
up Fatal Attraction, which is kind
Mm,
of the big, more or less, originator of the genre slash trend. And
movie
textually,
I
Fatal
hate.
Attraction is, yeah,
I
I
hate.
haven't watched it, but I
I
know what it's about.
I will say think I think I've probably watched more erotic thrillers than you have.
Yeah, probably.
Um,
But yeah, Fatal Attraction is kind of fundamentally about a guy who was wronged by this crazy woman
oh my God.
and about maintaining the family. So, like,
Yeah.
even though it does have the transgressive elements, it ultimately has to wrap it up in some way.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Fatal Attraction is a movie that like I try to give a lot of movies the benefit of the doubt. The thing with Fatal Attraction is that Michael Douglas cheats on his wife. Like it's like he he
Also,
does.
another podcast recommendation is the Karina Longworth seasons on the erotic thrillers.
Oh, I haven't
And one of
listened
the
to those.
episodes is on Fatal Attraction, and she kind of talks about how the movie frames him as this victim,
Yeah,
even though he cheated.
he cheats on his wife, and then it makes him out to be like the good guy. I think for me, like the erotic thriller is Basic Instinct, which is also Michael
Yeah.
Douglas. Um, and like I when I watched this movie in May, I had just watched Basic Instinct like the month before, and I think that yeah, Wild Things and Basic Instinct are really interesting to compare because of the like bisexual threesome aspect of it.
Yeah. And I also feel like they both, unlike Fatal Attraction, they both think the women in it are really cool,
Yeah,
regardless of what they do.
yeah. A lot of analysis and personal enjoyment of Wild Things, I think, fundamentally hinges on the plot structure and
Yeah.
how information is revealed to the audience. So, do we want to get into that? Or do we want to give a little more backstory on generally how um, other erotic thrillers function?
Yes, I feel like we need to explain the plot before we get into it
Yeah.
because like the structure, as you said, is interesting, but also none of our discussion would make sense if you don't know the plot.
Okay. So, first thing. What's the first thing that happens in this movie?
There's a chalkboard and Matt Dillon writes sex and everyone cheers, and then he writes crimes and everyone boos.
Yes. um Also, we see Susie played by Nev Campbell uh get up and walk out when Matt Dillon's Sam Lombardo introduces the detective played by Kevin Bacon, Ray Duquette. He's like, "Oh, Detective Duquette is here." And she's like, "I'm out of here." She gets up and walks out. And then I think he writes sex crimes on the board. There's basically four main characters. We've mentioned Susie, we've mentioned Sam, we've mentioned Ray, and then there's also
It's Kelly, who is my Twitter profile picture as of recording this.
yes,
She's been there for a couple months now. But yeah, played by Denise Richards, which
yep,
I
yep,
always think of Trixie Mattel going, I wouldn't be surprised if we never saw Denise Richards again.
yep. I also think about that. Is she quoting someone else when she says that?
I think she's paraphrasing a quote from The Real Housewives from one of the seasons where Denise was in it.
Oh, I didn't know Denise was in Real Housewives.
Yes, she was.
But yeah, this is a movie filled with 90s stars.
So those are the main four.
The main four. We also got Bill Murray, who's playing a lawyer.
A lawyer who fakes having a neck injury,
Yeah. Well, and he also
which is also kind of the first clue that something's afoot.
yeah. There's a great line. I think Ray says it to Jimmy. There's a line that I had to write down. It was people aren't always what they appear to be. Remember that. Which is like the whole point of this movie.
Yeah, and so basically the first half is Kelly accusing Sam of raping her, and then Susie also comes forward and says that the same thing happened to her
Yep.
a year prior. And so there's a whole court thing. And like in the middle of the court, the trial, there's a huge fight between Susie and Kelly where they like reveal quote unquote the whole thing where it's like we set it up.
It was Kelly's idea
Yeah.
specifically. So that's probably the first major twist. You could also say that maybe it's a reveal that Susie was also raped, but the first big like whoa, things are not going in the
Yeah.
direction you thought is that they made it up. And
Yeah, and like the first half of the movie makes you think that the whole film is gonna be about like, oh, Sam is wrongly accused and he's
yep,
just a victim.
yep.
But then they all meet up at a motel and it's like this is a plan from all three of them and all three of them have been seeing each other this
To
whole time.
because the motive, or at least the motive that we're first introduced to, is that Kelly's mom, uh is it Van
The Van
Claire
Ryans.
Van Ryan's. So Kelly's mom, super rich. Kelly has a trust fund from her grandpa that she can't touch until her mom's dead. And by having this super huge case against Sam, he then has a great case to sue and gets a settlement of $8 million.
Eight and a
And
half million.
8.5 million, that's right. Um, and that is coming out of Kelly's trust fund. So the kind of the reveal that to reveal that Susie and Kelly were in on it, they're like, oh, how much is 8.5 million split by three? Like this is they're all getting paid. Um and but there's also some, like hints at the trial that like Susie's mad at Sam because she and Sam were friends and then he didn't help bail her out of jail. And Kelly is in love with Sam, but her mom had an affair with Sam, so there's jealousy there. Like there's other kind of murky motivations, but for the most part it's about the money.
Yeah, and then Kevin Bacon's character like starts to suspect that, oh, they really like set us up and that they're in it for the money. So he keeps investigating and he confronts both Kelly and Susie individually. And so there's like a period of time where Kelly and Sam are a bit concerned that Susie's a liability.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and
they,
Ray, Kevin Bacon's character, keeps insisting something bad is gonna happen.
yeah, he's like, I feel it. I have the vibe.
Yeah.
And so they appear to kill Susie.
Well, Sam appears to kill Susie.
Yeah,
Then they are all, well, specifically, they're all trying to figure out. There's two detectives. What's the female detective's name?
Gloria.
Gloria. So Gloria and Ray are like, oh, they're trying to. Oh, and their police chief is like, you're a loose cannon, Ray. He doesn't say that, but it's the classic, kind of noir trope of like this detective's going too far. And um, but he's convinced, this is Kelly. Kelly killed Susie, and he's telling everyone, oh, it's Kelly's fault. And Gloria goes to Sam's motel room, and Sam gives her a file on Kelly, and then Gloria's like, oh, I think maybe you're onto something, Ray. And Ray goes to the guest house that Kelly is staying in, and she tries to shoot him, and he kills her.
Yeah, apparently in self defense, but this is like the second time he does this, so he gets dismissed.
Yep.
And then we see Sam at a beach hotel and he gets to his room, and then there's Ray in his shower, and they were apparently supposed to have a kiss. And that,
What?
yes, and on rewatch, the vibes are there. You
Oh
know the
my
scene
God.
in the
Yeah.
police place, the police station, where Sam just yells at Ray and calls him cocksucker, and Ray's like, "Say that to my face."
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. That would have made this, I would have liked this
They were
movie even
all
more.
together. They were all
Oh,
together.
that is crazy.
And also, when Susie says, "The first thing I noticed about you, you like to cruise."
I know that is something I was like, hello.
And then it turns out that, like, Ray and Sam are on the boat,
Yeah, so
and
Ray,
Sam tries to kill Ray,
uh,
but then it's revealed that Susie is still alive, so
yeah.
she, like, shoots him with a harpoon.
And they tell him like, "Oh, hey, like you were just supposed to frame Kelly. You weren't supposed to kill her." They also say, "Hey, Ray, you shouldn't have killed Davy, who's the
Yeah,
who was
it's kind of the root of this whole scheme because it was all Susie's idea
yep,
since that happened. And so, like, then Susie poisons Sam. And, like, and the chief at first is like, "I'm not gonna poison you. You need to teach me how to drive this thing first." But then it's real that, like, yeah, she knows her way around boats this
yep,
entire time.
yep, yeah.
And then she's the last one standing, and she gets all the money
And
in
she
the
gets the
end.
boat.
And good for her.
She
This
literally
is the
like,
good for her movie.
and she like faked her own death. So she's literally just free to go and do whatever she wants. Like
But yeah,
and
that's the plot.
yeah. So like watching this movie for the first time, you're like, "Oh my God, there's another plot twist. Oh my God, there's another plot twist." Wait, they were all working together. Everyone they were all in on it the whole time and it's very like I felt very like kind of just like overwhelmed. Um
Which is definitely part of the camp
yeah.
of the film, that, like, everything is happening in such a fast pace all of a sudden in the second half.
But on rewatch, knowing that everyone is working together, to me the film ends up being, oh, this isn't a film where pretty much the entire time everyone is putting on a performance.
Yeah, everyone's doing a bit, as Ray in one moment says, they're all acting,
Yeah.
himself included.
Yeah. Because that was the other thing is that it's not just that um they were, Ray was going to help them frame Kelly for Susie's murder and so that Susie could get away. It was that Ray was going to get dismissed, but then he was going to get, like the other half of the money. So it this is have we said yet that a lot of this film is also about like class?
Oh yeah, yeah. One of the things that, like, the plan definitely played on was how Kelly and Susie would usually, like, never get along because Kelly's, like, very she's, like, from the elite of this Florida town. It's Florida, by
Yeah,
the way.
it's
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 it's a great setting.
it's so
The
sweaty.
school has boating classes or something
Yeah.
because they're fully in the Everglades.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kelly is very elite, and Susie is, like, very lower class, working class. She
Oh
lives
yeah.
in a trailer right next to the motel, which is another, like, key location
Yeah,
in this film.
there's like when it's the big trial, I think they're like they call Kelly like, like heiress, and Susie is the girl from the wrong side of the track. And they're constantly,
So like it adds credibility to like there's no way they could possibly have set this up because they wouldn't even have a conversation in the first place,
yeah.
usually.
I'll say I think one of the things this film plays with, which I think could be something to criticize, is that, or maybe to, or appreciate, I don't know. It's the film is working on your assumption that Susie is not smart. They're constantly calling her white trash. And this big reveal at the very end, she's the mastermind of everything. They're like, even though IQ is bullshit, they're like, oh, she has over
Yeah.
like a 200 IQ. She can do anything she sets her mind to. Um, like the twist is supposed to be she could have never done this all on her own, or even with Kelly. And I just don't know if that's feminist or anti-feminist.
I feel like to me the twist was more about the power dynamics that are set up
mm, okay.
because like Kelly is like from the elite and Sam is an adult and technically an authority figure since he's a
Yeah.
guidance counselor.
Yeah. Oh, I want to be clear. At least in my opinion, the men in this film are fucking creeps. Like, yes, ultimately, Susie is the one who is in control, but Sam's still a fucking creep.
Yeah, one of the many reasons like this movie is very me is how everyone in this is out of their minds except Gloria. She's the
Yeah,
one normal person here.
yeah. Though, isn't it like, doesn't she and Sam almost kiss in that motel room?
Yeah, yeah, and like in the interview with the director that I found, he mentioned that a bit. The director, John McNaughton, says, it's a movie where there's really only one sympathetic character, and it's her, Gloria. And if it not for the cab pulling up and tooting its horn, even she might get corrupted by Matt.
Mm,
And ultimately, at
yeah.
the end, it's only like her and Susie, the ones who know what really happened and survived.
And Bill Murray.
Yeah, him too, but he's supporting cast.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
feels more supporting to me than Gloria.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Georgie, hey, we gonna catch some wind?
So Lombardo, I'm afraid I can't park your car today.
You can't park me. I'm meeting Barbara for lunch.
Can you get this parked, Georgie? We're running late.
Right away, Mr. Baxter.
You're finished here, Lombardo. Take a hike.
Barbara, let's go.
Maybe you didn't hear me, Lombardo. You're finished in Blue Bay. I find you around my daughter again, you'll be finished, period. Get the fuck out of here.
Barbara, please.
To like talk more about the class dynamics of this movie. Part of the framing in the first half of how Sam Lombardo is a victim. He is being framed by these girls. Is that he is also like working
He has
class.
teacher money.
He is told by Sandra, Kelly's mom, like they're like she's like you're just a hired hand in a good way. Like no one is actually he's like Sam is like seems to be like dating this nice woman. He's like trying to take her to the country club, but he doesn't have a lot of money, and like he is an outsider. And that's part of what the like framing of him as these people are going after him unjustly. You know, it seems that part of the motivation is classism, the fact that they're like, you're a nobody, you don't deserve to be, you aren't actually one of us, you're not going to ever have the money, the wealth, the status to be part of our community.
Yeah, and that's also part of why I think he's such a great character because of how like all the layers to it. Like, yes, he is in a way set up, but he's also a big problem, and you kind of cheer when he gets killed.
Yeah, because
Because like both of those things are true at the same time.
I feel like in some ways the first half of the movie, it's like, oh, he's this victim, he's being, you know, prosecuted
Which is
again
similar
from.
to Fatal Attraction, but then the rest of Wild Things just kind of subverts the Fatal Attraction classic early erotic
Yeah,
thriller narrative.
because Susie, they're like, oh, Susie's just some white trash. Well, Susie's also being like, they're all like, people also go after Susie because of her class status. And she ends up being the one who's ultimately in control and ultimately wins. She, and I do think, for me personally, in my taste, I wish we got to see her, more of her uh like success being linked to like her pleasure and like safety and comfort in a way that isn't just an like statuses of wealth, like her getting the money and the sailboat and stuff. But that's also the genre, I guess. Like, I don't know, I think I'm not sure if I'm quite making a good point here, but it's almost like, I don't know. I do think is a story about an underdog winning, and for the first half, you think the underdog is gonna be Sam, but it actually ends up being the girl, um, who everyone
The girl who it
underestimates.
seems that no one likes.
Yeah, maybe I am coming around to the fact that the film is using maybe is playing on audience expectations of who Susie is, but it ultimately does see her as smart and capable, and I mean, yeah,
Like she herself never does anything that isn't smart. It's always the other characters like going like, "Oh, she might be a liability."
mm-hmm. Well, and I think she also she uses that to her advantage. She knows that they're gonna think that, like, that
And
after.
like with all the layers of acting and narrative, there like is a part where you're like, do they like know that she like Kelly and Sam probably definitely know that like this is most of this is her plan and that she probably herself told them that pretend that I'm not smart.
Mm-hmm.
Pretend that I can't handle this.
Well, we see after the end title card, um, we see like a couple of little scenes like going back in time showing like how Susie was planning stuff out, and like she was the one, she's like, "Oh, Sam, go talk to Ray. Like, you guys are gonna be great friends." And Sam's like, "Oh, are you sure he's gonna fall for this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna love the part about you killing me." Like, there,
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh yeah, these guys hate me, lean into that." um but I mean, damn, Susie's like kind of a badass too. And like, we one of the other scenes we see at the very end is like, because like, you know, to make it look like they killed Susie, like they find her blood and some teeth. It ended up being that Susie pulled out her own teeth for that.
Just Sam wasn't doing a very good job.
Yeah.
We won. Sam, it's over. Wow. Talk about paranoid. Take a look around us, Sam. You're gonna have to teach me how to drive this thing before I can get rid of you. Huh? Huh?
Okay, Toller. I want to trim this sail. Grab a hold of that winch.
Fuck the winch. I want to drive.
Nah, it doesn't work that way. You don't drive it, you sail it. Now get on that winch. Just want to cruise for a while.
It's funny. That's one of the first things I noticed about you, Sam. You like to cruise.
Susie.
Take college, for instance. I bet the only classes you took were the ones where the finals were all multiple choice. And you never bought the book. You'd always find some girl to loan you hers, and then of course you'd have to fuck her after that, right? Is that how it went?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a good pop quiz for you. Multiple choice, of course. Before sailing away on the Helios, Medea killed King Creon and the princess with... what? A rock? A spear gun, or... a little poison?
Poison.
Good guess.
I just love how much of this film is about performance and artifice and excess, and especially in the excess of how this, like I said, is kind of the culmination of the erotic thriller in the sense that everything is happening and it's building on the history.
Mm-hmm.
And it also kind of builds so much into it that it's kind of like you can't really go anywhere else. Like this is it. This is the height.
Let's brainstorm on that a little bit. Like, is there ways that you could push the erotic thriller genre even further um than Wild Things? Like, what is there another even more extreme step to go? And I do think, like, this is a sexy movie. We
But like
like,
it's not just that, but also like the character archetypes and the twists and the kind of storylines.
I I feel like I get it in the story and the plot and the characters, but in the actual, like, in some ways, in the visuals and the construction of it, I do think it would have been pushed even further if there had been in that inclusion of also, like, romance between the two men
Yeah,
and sexuality between them. And also, like, I mean, I do love the scene, the threesome, where, like,
it's so good.
Sam is like, Kelly and Susie, oh, now you two guys kiss, like, and oh, I that is actually such a good scene, because on rewatch you can see, like, at first it seems like Sam is the one who's in the power and, like, positioning them together and stuff, but I do think on rewatch I do think that scene, I don't know, like, the way Susie is looking at both of them, I don't know. The way I read the movie, honestly, is I do think Susie, like, has feelings for Kelly. And
Yeah,
I think Kelly likes Sam more than Kelly likes, like, I think Kelly likes Susie, but I think that there is a little bit of a, like, Kelly is into Sam more than she is into Susie, and Susie kind of, I read
yeah.
jealousy in that. in that scene, but like also like she's kind of like Susie is still kind of like choreographing that sex scene in some way so that she is kind of maintaining power and control despite her feelings. What are your thoughts on the sex in general?
I think I like a lot of the writing on this film is like similar to as how you said that it kind of like gives you an expectation to then subvert it, and it's does that a bit with like how it like gives the audience what it wants from an erotic thriller, but to a point where like they might not want it anymore since it's like kind of overwhelming to some
Mm,
people. But it also is very much about playing it into the genre and just how like pulpy and trashy everything is.
yeah.
And one of the quotes from John McNaughton in this interview for Split Tooth Media, like one of the big quotes that they put up first is, I like to be the right thing in the wrong place and the wrong thing in the right place. Being the right thing in the wrong place and the wrong thing in the right place is worth it because something interesting always happens.
Mm,
And that's kind of this entire movie.
yeah. Yeah.
And regarding like the reception, like the initial reception to the film, which it kind of has been revised recently. The article says, in our defense against the disreputable, we tell ourselves a lie that movies like Wild Things don't have to be good to be, good. In fact, people have been telling director John McNaughton just that ever since the earliest test screenings. By some transitive property of exploitation, quote, doesn't have to be good, easily turns into, quote, bad or worse, quote, so bad it's good. Many of the compliments have been backhanded, and not every backhand has been a compliment.
Mm,
Quote, there seems to be a meme propagated by some younger critics that it's trash that accidentally turned out well. He wrote in an email to me, John McNaughton. Quote, tell it to Andy Warhol, I say.
yeah.
To me, like one of the main things that makes this film camp is how it clearly knows what it's doing, even though like on the surface level it looks like very popcorn, like just like blockbuster nonsense, but it's actually like everything is so well thought out, and
Yeah.
the parts that are nonsense are very deliberately nonsense. And I say like nonsense like the trashiness of it. Like everyone in this knows what they're doing, both like the characters and the film production itself.
I fully agree. And I specifically want to speak on that in terms of um the sapphic aspects of this movie. Because I feel like um Wild Things and Basic Instinct I've seen in um I've seen both of these films talked about as homophobic and like biphobic um for different reasons. I mean, people talk about how Basic Instinct is bad because it's a, it makes this bisexual serial killer, and it's like, yeah, whatever, she's slaying. I don't give a fuck.
She's the
Um
best part of the movie.
yeah, but then I also I've seen Wild Things included in the like, like it's listed alongside these other movies from the 90s where it's all about like, oh, it's fetishizing, lesbian attraction. It's just having girls kiss for the male gaze. And I do think that there are some movies that have a bit of that. Um I mean, we watched Bram Stoker's Dracula for our Patreon most recent Patreon movie night, and I can see, that like that moment where like Mina and Lucy are kissing. I could see that being like, oh, it's all about like, Dracula's influence. They're all like just sexually charged and liberation. But like that doesn't feel like there's a real relationship there. It kind of just feels like, oh, they're just kissing because that's we want to see girls kissing. But in this movie, like I don't like Wild Things is not an example of that to me. Like Wild Things, it's very much like there's so many layers to it. Like I think there is I read actual attraction and interest, at least from Susie. She doesn't just kill Ray because he killed Davy. They kill him because
He killed
he killed
Kelly.
Kelly. But also like I you know me, I love a little voyeurism in my movies. I love
Yeah.
films that acknowledge the camera because that's the whole point of filmmaking. Um and I think it's probably another like kind of an infamous scene where, Susie and Kelly are fighting in the pool and it like seems like Kelly's gonna drown Susie and then they start making out and Ray's got
Kevin Bacon with his little
corner
camcorder.
and he's like zooming in on them. He's like his jaw is like slack. It's such a weird expression on his face.
His face in that scene is so good because he just seems like just kind of stuck there and like he's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. But like I think that's another performance, you know? Like I think like Susie's smart. When you first watch this film, Ray comes to her house and intimidates her and then she's like, freaking out and calling Sam and then going to Kelly's and it's like no, no, no. I think all of that was very calculated, knowing that Ray was gonna follow her, and she's like trying to put on this little performance for him. And that's sexy.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, and I feel like also the way that the scenes are shot definitely like leans into the quote unquote male gaze.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like it does that in a very knowing way.
Yeah.
And like it's part of to me it's part of the camp and like the quote unquote good bad taste of how like contemporaneously that's not how you're quote supposed to film women,
Well, and
but that's how they're being filmed
underage,
here.
they're they're teenagers. Like maybe they're technically
They're
18.
technically 18, but the timeline goes way back
Yeah.
with the characters
But look, I mean, how old were the actors when this was filmed?
in their 20s.
Yeah. I think that is I don't know if we've talked about this before, but there is I think uh a camp aspect of many media where many pieces of media that shows these teenage characters played by actors in their 20s and the teenage characters are having a bunch of sex and it's filmed super sexy. It's like, yes, this is not like it's it's not real. You know? Like you can sit
It's
with the
not real, and
concept
also
and be
Denise Richards and Matt Dillon look so close in age in this movie.
yeah. Yeah, like the concept itself, I do not fault anyone for watching this and being like, I'm uncomfortable with this. But
Like that's part of the plot. That's part of
yeah,
what makes Sam a shady character.
yeah,
Like the movie knows that like technically what he was being accused of was correct.
yeah,
Technically they're not lying.
yeah.
It's like one of the sections that I found interesting of the interview was like the interviewer says lurid cheesiness is the chief attraction to certain kinds of bad work, but lurid cheesiness itself can also be the reason for making something. And the director immediately says, John Waters. He sent me one of my first fan letters for Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, thinking about Wild Things tonally, while generally I don't try to homage or borrow from anybody. If I do, it's either subconscious or else I just outright steal from somebody. That was good, I'm taking it. But I would say that if Wild Things owes any debt, it would be to Waters Pictures.
Yeah, no, this is
This
this
is the polyester of erotic fillers.
yeah. Yeah.
Because polyester is like all about melodrama tropes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, gosh, this is you can hearing these quotes from this director, you cannot say this was a movie that stumbled into being good. This is a film that knows what it's doing and it knows directors that
It knows that it's being sleazy, but it also knows that it's using that stylistic choice to sneak in a really smart script.
yeah, it's a really oh god, there's some really fun lines that are just so it's very like they're heavy-handed in a way that I'm just like, "Oh, these actors are having fun." I love, like when they like cheers Sam and Ray are like, "Oh, cheers." And they're like to no loose ends. And it's like so fun seeing that, knowing what's gonna happen that they're like Sam's like, yep, to no loose ends. Internally, I'm
And
gonna
just
fucking
like
kill you, Ray. Like
and like the entire thing where Sam is like telling Ray like go over there to the edge of the boat
yeah.
and fix something over there that is kind of over the edge.
Yeah. I also like the scene where they quote unquote kill Susie and it's like, oh, oh, we're just gonna have a nice celebration and talk about our future. It's like it's not even necessarily like the lines themselves are really like knowing, but the way they're said, it's just like, yes, everything's gonna be fine. I'm not evil at all.
And then like right after Kelly's like my mom's gonna be so mad that I took the rover.
Yeah.
Hello, Kelly.
Drop dead. You know how my mom's paying you off? She's breaking my trust. I can't touch it until she's dead, and now she's breaking it to pay you.
I'm sorry, Kelly.
Why don't you start fucking her again? You can spend it together. I hate you! I fucking hate you, you son of a bitch! I fucking hate you!
There's so many good moments in this interview. Like specifically about the style
Oh yeah.
of the film and again about how like they know what they're doing. And so the director John Lund says one of the criticisms of the film when it was released was that there were too many twists. Yes, but did it work? And it was interesting because we had a couple of weeks rehearsal with all the key actors, and it was so difficult for everyone to keep in their head what lie am I telling? What am I really up to? And in every scene, they're acting twice because their motive underneath is something totally different from what they're acting in the world that the audience is seeing. It used to get maddening sometimes. Like, why am I doing it this way? Well, because three scenes later,
Mm. I also was taking note, like whenever there's a character who is like making a really big show of um you know you screwed me over, you did this thing, they have an audience. Like I think that is
in the
something
courtroom, it's like a whole soap opera thing.
or
They're throwing stuff.
and when after the courtroom when Sam's getting his things from the school and Kelly is like screaming at him about her, him breaking her trust fund and stuff. Like they this is like I was surprised really paying attention on rewatch for if there's ever a moment where it seems like I don't think there's actually any moments where if you know the whole truth, a character does something when they're alone that doesn't make any sense. Like they'll be like always kind of you see them kind of look around and then do a certain thing based on there being other people there. Or it cuts away. So we like, when there's like this, when
Or also like whenever there's like windows. Like at the motel, they're always performing because like they know that they're visible. Like one of the scenes in the credits is literally Sam and Susie observing Ray at that motel. So like they know the visibility points.
yeah. I also think we kind of mentioned it already, but like Bill Murray's character is a really like kind of obvious way that characters are putting on a performance and stuff. Cuz like he's like a super, like he's just a a a, a public defender who seems to mostly like be helping with like insurance scams and stuff. Like he has his wall is covered with photos of people like smiling with thumbs up and like neck braces and like casts and stuff. Um, but he like acts like he's like he's like a little. It's like an open floor office that has like some little dividers, but he's like to his secretary, like, hold my calls or show this person in. And they're just like looking over the dividers. And he's like pretending to be kind of like more rich and competent than he is.
What did you do to your neck?
This? I don't have to wear it all the time. There was an insurance guy around here earlier.
I think the final quote from this interview is really good, where the director says, "People are going to take from it what they will. That's how it's always been and should be. But in all of my movies, I always love lurid. Pour in a cup of lurid. And on Wild Things, we poured in a couple cups of lurid. Good taste is your enemy sometimes."
Wow. That's camp, baby. That's, yeah. Okay, question. Is there acknowledgement that this film is camp in this article?
Not directly, but I feel it's definitely implicit, especially with the discussion on John Waters.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a thing that I've been noticing recently with like sources will bring where people will basically say something is camp without actually saying it's camp by describing like kind of a definition of camp and use like in describing a piece of media with a definition of camp, but not always explicitly linking that to the word camp. And I don't know if that's because I think probably it comes more from like a general audience not always knowing what camp is, because like I do think if you just like there I think most people probably they could talk about like, oh, this is smarter than it seems on the surface, and they won't say that that is camp. But if I don't know, I feel like how am I putting this? I don't
Or like also assuming that this film is naive camp when it actually is very deliberate in its
yeah.
camp.
I think if someone doesn't fully understand the context of what it means to be camp, I think there are sometimes reviews or people online will call something camp as kind of just a shorthand for saying it's it's bad but I like it. Meanwhile, I think what we often do with our discussions and calling something camp, it's saying no, this is really smart, and it's connected to this broader history of other creators making work like this. Um, and
Like it's camp because it's smart and smart because it's camp.
yeah.
I was also thinking in the gender of it all in relation to neo noir and kind of the noir legacy that all four leads fill in the femme fatale role in some way.
Oh, that's really fun. You're so right. Because they all kind of corrupt each other. And they all
And they're
kind of,
all like not what they seem, and they're all like seen as desirable by the rest of the characters.
yeah.
And like usually in a war it would be the one woman,
Yeah.
like in the classic double indemnity.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good take. Yeah. I've kind of exhausted my notes. Do you have any other big points you want to discuss?
I was wondering if you like had any questions for me, and I also like wanted to know on like the whole Florida aspect of this film and how like sleek and stylish it makes Florida look,
Oh,
which is
I
also kind of a subversion of the classic Florida image.
yeah.
And like even though all of these people are very Florida man behavior, they're like incredibly messy, but stylistically it's just very chic to me.
Yeah, okay. I really don't know much about Florida. I've never visited Florida. Um the only kind of
But you know the Florida man image.
I know I mean, the Florida man, I feel like if there's a Florida man in this film, it's Walter. It's like the guy who's like
Yeah.
wrestling gators and doesn't have any teeth, like I get, but I guess I don't really know what the what the class dynamics are like in Florida. If there is this like, is it that there is like this strict divide between like the super wealthy elite and
I feel like that's very true, but I also personally associate Florida man with like specific messy behavior
mm,
that you wouldn't really see as much anywhere else. But here, it feels like the whole town is in mess since the whole cast is in mess and doing mess.
I feel like there's less drugs and alcohol than I would expect for
Yeah,
a Florida. Like I feel like the only person they really show like they associate
but
with
there's
drugs
still
is
like
Susie.
crazy antics.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah.
It's people doing crazy antics and fighting.
Yeah, trying to drown someone in a pool and then making out with them. Or like filming that on your little camcorder and bringing it to your police cohort and being like, "Look."
On private property
Yeah.
and then going, look.
And then Sam showing up being like, "Cocksucker."
Yeah. Another like highlight moment to me regarding camp is the reveal that Ray was in on it,
Cuz he's
which
revealed
it's
in the shower.
but like also like the thing that he immediately says is like howdy partner, like he knows that this is a big reveal.
Yeah.
He's like it's me.
I can't believe they almost kissed. They should have kissed. What aesthetically would you say this is the same category as any media?
I feel like classic erotic thriller, like they all have a pretty similar look in the sense that they're all very like shiny and sleek.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one also being set in Florida, there's like a greenness to
Mm.
it, and it feels like more tropical and warmer.
See, what I was associating, like, what I thought was the Florida-ness of this movie was how sticky, like how
Yeah.
sweaty and like humid it all seems to be. Like I feel like there's so like in that like your image of the your profile Twitter profile picture of Denise Richards. It's like she I guess in that scene she had just been like washing a jeep,
Yeah.
but like her clothes are like sticking to her body and her hair is all damp. Um and when I first watched this, it made me think of the two pieces of media this it made me think of was Veronica Mars, which is very like noir, neo noir, class divide, and In the
More
Cut.
or less similar time frame.
Yep, similar time frame, absolutely. And In the Cut is an erotic thriller, and that's set in the heat wave during heat wave, but in New York, and so the colors of that is very like yellow and orange and brown. And when you said that this movie is more green, I was like, that is a good point. There is something much more natural and tropical and about wild things. But I was also seeing if I could get you to say, which I know your letterbox review is, about how you think this movie is.
Yeah, this is very Lana Del Rey, which I'm shocked that there aren't like that many like Lana edits with clips of this movie because they go perfectly with like every song.
Well, you got to do that yourself.
Yeah,
Or commission someone.
yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's to me the selling the like if I were to pitch this movie to like recommend it to someone, especially like at around our age, it's like it's every single Lana Del Rey song if it were a movie.
Yeah. Well, is there any final quotes or visual moments that you really wanted to mention?
I'm now thinking about the Smash Mouth needle drop in this, which is wild.
Wait, when is that?
Like when Sam is driving Kelly to her home,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and you just hear this really loud, why can't we be friends? Ska music.
Right.
And I just think it's so funny. It's a really funny choice.
Well, if you haven't seen this movie and you want to be in for a wild time, you've
Is
got our
there
recommendation.
like is there anything else that like you took away from this viewing of the film?
I mean, like the main thing I think I said this already is just like I was realizing how much of this movie is a performance. Um, but I think my biggest way actually is from the points that you've brought up in our discussion and thinking about my own work that I want to kind of be within the erotic thriller genre is is the element of corruption and luridness and like the being tempted into the sex and the unhealthy, complicated social dynamics. I think to me that's I think what my big takeaway from our discussion is that's the fun of that and the interesting power dynamics of that is, yeah, thinking like you said about that quote about the director of the Gloria almost being pulled into that. And that's I think what I'm considering most right now. And I think the best erotic thrillers tempt the audience to want to be in on all of the action themselves.
Yeah, this is very, do they want a fifth? Are they looking for a fifth But also, I do love how basically this entire film is artifice and trashiness,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and how like you can have that with a good script,
Mm-hmm.
and like the excess of being able to do both at the same time.
Hell fucking yeah. Well, that's our episode.
I wouldn't be surprised if we never saw Denise Richards again.
Thank you to our patrons.
Ike Everard, Dominic Overman, Joshua, Marcus Gorman, Arcadia Reeves, Jose Liano, and Pericles Kaspari.
This episode was edited by Saffron Hefta-Gaub.
Our theme music is by Harrison Lurie. I've been Saffron Hefta-Gaub. You can find me everywhere at Gaub Hefta.
I've been Fabiola Liano. You can find me on Instagram at Fabiola the Gremlin and on Twitter at Fabiola_Liano. The podcast, It's Giving Camp, on Instagram at It's Giving Camp Pod and on Twitter at Giving Camp Pod.
It really helps us out if you're able to give us a rating or review.
Be sure to support our Patreon.